This video is on Lesson Master 8.1, and I'll go through all of the problems. Notice it asks in questions 1 through 6 to first identify the formula as recursive or explicit. And it's pretty easy to identify explicit and recursive, the difference, because recursive formulas always have two parts. And explicit formulas are just that, very explicit. It tells you exactly how to get to any term, and it's just one piece to the formula. There's not two separate pieces. So as you can tell in number 1, I have first term, and then I have a second part. So this is going to be recursive. This is also recursive because it's got those two parts. This is recursive. This is just a formula, so this would be explicit. This has two parts, so this would be recursive. And this has just the one formula, so this is explicit. I just like to do that part first because I feel like it's just kind of, you just look at it and you can tell whether it's explicit or recursive. Then we're asked to find the first 4 terms. So the first term is -3. And according to this, I'm taking the previous term and I'm multiplying by -2. So if I need to use my calculator, I could. I would think we could do this without a calculator. -3 times -2, I get +6. If you need to use the calculator, -3 times -2, and I get 6. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to multiply by -2 times -2, and I get -12. Remember I said once you put it in twice like that, times -2, it knows it is a pattern, so I can just start hitting enter. 24. Now in order to get to the 10th term, I don't know of any shortcut, so I'm just going to have to, let's see, this is the 4th term, 5th term, 6th term, 7th term, 8th term, 9th term, 10th term, right there, 1,536. So using a calculator really can help. Hopefully you guys can see that. I can't tell if there's a glare because I've got so much sunshine coming on my in my room right now. All right, let's go to number 2. Number 2 says my first term is -4, and I'm going to add 1. So then I get -3. I'm going to add 1 and I get -2. Now again, if I want to use the calculator, I start at -4 and I add 1, get to -3, add 1, get to -2. Now I can just start hitting enter. That gets me to -1. If I want to get to the 10th term, I know this is the 4th term, so then this would be 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I'd end at 5. Just like my calculator shows there. Okay? All right, let's go to number 3. Number 3 says I'm going to start at 0.7. Now this is a little bit more involved. I'm going to multiply the previous term by 3 and subtract 0.3. So I've got 0.7 and I'm going to multiply by 3, and then I'm going to subtract 0.3, and I get 1.8. Now, because I'm doing 2 operations here, unfortunately I can't just hit enter or establish that pattern. So now I have to take that 1.8, take 3 times the previous term, which is 1.8, subtract 0.3, and I get 5.1. Now I'm going to take 3 times 5.1, and I'm going to subtract 0.3, and I get 15. Now I wish there was a faster way to do this, but there really isn't. So now I'm going to have to take 3 times 15 and subtract 0.3, and I get 44.7. I'm going to have to keep track of these on my paper. 3 times 44.7 minus 0.3, and I get 133.8. then I'm going to have to take 3 times 133.8, subtract 0.3, and I get 401.1. 3 times 401.1 minus 0.3, and I get 1,203. I'm going to take 3 times 1,203, subtract 0.3, and I get 3,608.7. See, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This next one is my 10th term. 3 times 3,608.7, subtract 0.3, and I get 10,825.8. Let's go on to number 4. Number 4, I've got this formula. What I think I'm going to do, because I could substitute in to find the first term, I would put a 1 in for n. So to find, you would let n equal 1. So a sub 1 would be negative 2 times 1 cubed plus 24 times 1 squared minus 15 times 1 plus 9. To find a sub 2, I would simply put a 2 in, plus 24 times 2 squared minus 15 times 2 plus 9. Since I'm putting it into the same formula every time, what I'm going to do is go to y equals, and I've already done this. I typed in the equation negative 2x squared plus 24x minus 15x plus 9. And I'm going to go to my table. Oops, I meant to hit table, second graph. Sorry, second graph. Table. And what I can do is, right there, my first term would be 6, according to my calculator, is 16. And my next term is 59. I'm not sure. Sorry, it's making it too difficult to see the screen. Just want to make sure. Then my next one would be 126. And then 205. And then I need to scroll down to my 10th term. And it would be 259. Right. Let's go to number 5. Number 5 says your first term is 5. And then you square to get the next term. Okay, so I'm going to, that would be 25. And then, so I have 5 squared, I got 25, square that, and I get 625. Square that, I get 390,625. If I square that, I start getting numbers that are going to be really hard for me to write. This means 1.525878906 times 10 to the 11th, which means move this decimal 11 places to the right. So these are going to be very large numbers. So I'm thinking I need a different way to show my answers. So if you think about it, 5 is 5 to the first. 25 is 5 to the second. When you square that, you should have learned with exponents. I'm going to come down here. Oh, I'll go over here to the side. When you take 5 squared and you square it, power to a power you multiply, so that becomes 5 to the 4th. And then if you have 5 to the 4th and you square that, power to a power you multiply, that becomes 5 to the 8th. All right, and I would keep going. Then I would have 5 to the 16th, 5 to the 32nd, 5 to the 64th, 5 to the 128th, 5 to the, would that be 16 carry 1, 256. Let's see if I've gotten to the 10th term yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. Times 2, that would be 512. 5, to the 512th power would be my 10th term. I wouldn't be able to actually put that in the calculator. It would be too large for the calculator to handle. Let's go to number 6. Let's see, my first term would be 11. Then I add 5 to the previous term. It would be 16. Now I do have an explicit formula, so I could just substitute, but for the first 4 terms, I'm just going to keep adding 5, get 21, add 5, get 26. Now to find the 10th term, since I have explicit, I can just do 11 plus 5 times 10 minus 1. That's 11 plus 5 times 9. If I need to use my calculator, I can. I know this is 45 plus 11. That would give me 56. Number 7 asks me to write an explicit formula for the sequence defined in question 2. Okay, so a sub n is the first term, negative 4, adding 1 times n minus 1. Question 8 asks me to write a recursive formula for number 6. All right, so a sub 1 is 11, a sub n is the previous term, add 5. Okay. Right, number 9 gives me this sequence here. It says write an explicit and recursive formula for the arithmetic sequence whose first 8 terms are 23, 19, 15, 11, 7, 3, negative 1, negative 5. I can see that my sequence is decreasing, and it looks like it's going down by 4. My pattern is subtracting 4 from the previous term. And so let's see, my explicit formula would be a sub n is 23, which is the first term, subtract 4, n minus 1 times. My recursive formula, my first term is 23. My nth term is found by taking the previous term and subtracting